And a good morning to you. It's been a while since we've been here, but we're back. Finally got things straightened out. I was gone for a week, and then Ford's been busy. I've been busy, so we just kind of put it on the side for right now. But we're back for today. Glad to have you along with us. I appreciate everybody joining in. I know you're just getting tired of hearing that music, so I'll go ahead and stop that. I don't know if any of you know this man. Kind of hard for me to say it, but he worked just tirelessly for the West Lincoln Optimists in West Lincoln High School. Terry Reinhardt. Yeah. Terry worked for us here at the radio station. I've known Terry for over 20 years, and he passed away unexpectedly last Friday. Arrangements are still underway. Once we get those, I'll post those on my Facebook page as well, because I want folks to know, because I think you'll want to know. There'll be some people that want to know. I got to put my glasses on because I'm blind as bat. The old man readers. But I did want to mention that while I could. But Terry, just a great guy. I have got I got a plaque back there. I sponsored his Optimus basketball team, and his son played for me when I was coaching at West Lincoln. So that family, definitely keep them in your prayers. Yeah. Stephen Lowe, good morning. Let's see. Couple things before we get started. I got a number of things been on my mind. Yesterday, I wanted to just jump on Facebook because there's a very deep dose of stupid going around in the world of sports right now, and I want to address it. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, you're one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys. I am not somebody that wants people fired. Right. That's not what it is. Now, the first thing that you got to understand, and everybody's got to acknowledge, is the rules and the environment, the playing field has changed. That has been my whole complaint when it comes to my boy Dabo. He's not adapted. So, I think Dabo's a good coach. And I'm going to tell you something that I think that is hurting him now. And where I heard this yesterday was on one of the sports shows when they were talking about Carolina and Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, Dabo Swinney, here's where they're related. I think both of them didn't do the best that they could do in assembling their coaching staff. When you have predominant programs, you've got a Bill Belichick and a name of North Carolina Tar Heels, okay, a heritage, and Clemson. You've got top-notch assistants and coordinators that are standing in line that want to come work there. I have felt like once Chad Steele, and Andrew, you'll have to correct me on this. I don't know my people like you do, but like when Chad Steele was there and when Brett Venables was there, when those guys left, I never felt like Dabo went and got the best possible candidates. First time, he was a little too loyal and promoted from within. Sure. To me, I think he's got a little Bill Belichick in him, in that he doesn't want anybody in there that he thinks he can't control and is smarter than he is in doing things. To me, I want the smartest people I can working for me because they make me look better. Right. And if I lose an assistant every year because he goes on to be a head coach, that's telling me I'm doing my job. I'm bringing the best people in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that was one thing they mentioned about Belichick, and that's one of the things that I've thought about Dabo. I'm not sure Garrett Riley's the best guy to be the OC. There's just not the continuity there. They've got the talent. They got the roster. I do like the Tom Allen hire. That he came from Penn State, defense coordinator. I do like that. He was at Indiana, head coach. I do like that one. And then Belichick, he just hired family and friends at Carolina. Yeah, and
just like he did at New England.
Correct, and it blew up on him. And I'll be the first one to tell you, when it was him and Brady, I was the first one singing Belichick's praises because I thought Belichick would be successful after the split more than Brady, and I was wrong. I was 110,000% wrong. Brady was more successful than Belichick.
Don't disagree with that. But there were a lot of different factors from, contracts and things like that played into that. Certainly a good point that you made, and I do agree. I just think there was a little bit more to that demise at that point from a business standpoint, what they were trying to restructure and do. This whole thing with, I think the Belichick thing is, something that a lot of people, obviously are, following and interested in and really jumping on. I think more, it's very telling when people leave the stands by the second quarter. Yeah, of the disappointment. But again, this is a program that I think won a division title in 22 and in 15, talking about Carolina, but not an ACC title, but a divisional title. I believe that's right. And then really no ACC championships, of any kind. And I really don't know why people would expect in year one for things to just all of a sudden be fantastic. Yes, you went out and got who you thought at the time, not you, third person,
right,
was one of the top people that you could get. I don't know if, anybody really argue with that. They may not have liked it, but I don't know if that's arguable, to that point. And then, the way things have worked out. But I will tell you, if you look at Carolina's schedule, the rest
they
of the
should
year,
be
Lanny,
they got to win some games. There's winnable games out there.
That's what I'm saying. And
I looked at them as 9-3.
Well, no, but this sounds crazy. But looking at the schedule, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly am not downing NC State. That's not what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've maybe played as well or done as much as they want. But they have a very good team. I'm not saying anything about that. It's a rivalry game. We all know how those go. It's going to be. And again, I'm not saying Carolina's going to win out. What I'm saying is they're 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
And yet everything's burning down. Well, things were already burnt to the ground. It was just the appearance of bringing somebody in that all of a sudden everything rises from the ashes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I just don't – I look at things how they translate. Like, a lot of people are talking about, well, the Indiana coach needs to go to Penn State.
No, we don't.
He has no five-star guys. He doesn't coach those guys. He coaches the guys that have a chip on their shoulder and are motivated. I'm not saying
it's a different environment.
Yes, it's how it translates from like one to the other. It's not because he's a good coach here. I mean, if you got a person that runs a really good hot dog business and has let's say a small restaurant or whatever, and they do a great job, does that mean they're going to go be able to go run a successful small restaurant that's an elite steakhouse type setting?
Yeah.
Business wise, maybe food wise, there's a lot that translates into that. And this is where I think the guy from Clemson, I think the defense coordinator at Clemson has a chance to go back to Penn State as head coach.
Well, I do. There are some other names, and here's the other thing.
I'm not saying he will.
Milton,
I'm just
Jeff,
saying he's in
Stephen,
it.
good morning. Here's the thing. This is the thing. I would never fire James Franklin.
Never.
I mean, there's just no. I don't understand that.
17 days ago, he was on ESPN and was one of the most popular people. They were playing for a national championship,
yes,
basically, or
yes.
a chance to do that,
yes.
right? Number
yes.
one. And things are great. I mean, I'm watching it on Saturday morning. G and I are watching it. And he's doing the interview with, everybody on, college football, game day, and things are great. 16 days later, he doesn't have a job. Now, I got to tell you, people say, well, that's the world we live in. Well, that may or may not, that may be true, but that doesn't make it right. And the problem is we're doing a whole lot of wrong trying to figure out what is right instead of things that are time-tested, proven, and true, which are your character, the type of people that you bring in, that you want in the university. He talks about graduating his players.
Happy birthday, Neil.
Doing all the things he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing.
Again,
this is the thing.
It is what it is. But
this thing with Kurt Cignetti, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, he's 64 years old.
He ain't, no,
okay?
No.
And why would you leave? I've always said this.
For $80 million, that's why, but that doesn't make it right.
Indiana bump him up.
No, again, I agree with you 100%.
Long term,
it's a legacy play for him.
I go back.
What does he want to do legacy-wise?
To Roy Williams, okay? I'm not so sure that Roy couldn't have been as successful or more successful had he stayed at Kansas.
Sure.
Than making the move back to North Carolina. He felt obligated to come back.
But it was the right move for him.
I understand.
But to your point, you could have been.
But like a Kurt Cignetti, he can be at Indiana forever and never feel any pressure.
But he knows how.
They're not looking for a national championship.
Right.
They're looking to be. They're looking to be. What's the word I'm looking for?
Viable and competitive.
That's correct.
Every year, and they are. And the thing about it is, what his niche is he's been able to take kids. He has no 5 stars,
no,
a couple of 4 stars,
yeah.
some 3 stars, whatever, and just a lot of second chance players that were overlooked or whatever.
Yep.
They got a chip on their shoulder. He knows how to motivate and coach. And what did he talk about? The number one thing they had to do going into the game last week, the mindset. That's all he kept saying. I want to make sure the mindset. He understands process because guess who he coached with?
But
they all coach together.
The biggest thing is he was like, play in the moment.
Yeah.
Don't come apart.
No,
Good, bad. Don't get overhyped.
Right.
Don't get frustrated.
Right.
Play it all the way through and let it play out.
The situation can never be too big for you.
Yeah.
You be bigger than the situation, and you'll be able to. You'll be fine.
So and you go back and you got coaches that jump and jump and jump, and another name that's getting floated out there, and he's got Penn State ties because he played at Penn State, is Matt Rule.
Oh, yeah, we love Matt Rule.
Matt Rule is a
Great
college
guy.
coach. He is not a pro coach.
And he.
But guess what? Guess what? You can be a power at Nebraska. You don't have to go to Penn State. Would you rather play in Nebraska or at Penn State?
Well, goosebumps. All right, just thinking about that. The resources Nebraska has because they're in the Midwest and not quite as looked at as some of the Southeastern Conference teams or whatever. The amount of resources that he has. Matt Rule has set everything up at Nebraska for a player to come in and have a chance to go to the NFL, and by doing so, improving themselves both as a player and a person. He has it is amazing what he's done. Anybody that hadn't looked into that, they really need to look into what he's done there and how he's done it. He understands, Lanny. I mean, if I'm Penn State, I'm going after him. But it's not going to make it any more relevant. I mean, it just.
Well, I've seen the names that they've thrown around as far as what they would, kind of who their wish list is, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think I would want to make a change. I don't think I would want to make a change where I was at because everything, as you said, the difference is when you go to Penn State from Indiana, it is such a different environment.
Yeah.
Boosters, administration,
it's different
players,
world. Yeah, it's a different world.
Everything.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Everything.
Well, think about this too. And I'm gonna throw this name out there, and it's way off the wall, but I want you to think about this. Lane Kiffin. All right, now
I've already said I want him to come to Clemson.
Well, okay. So what? I believe this, and I'm looking at the Big Ten, and I think they're a great conference, right? Just like the SEC, but there's more upsets for higher profile teams in the Big Ten than there are in the SEC. In the SEC, when they play each other, it's not really that big of an upset, even though like a number like 28 may beat a number 14.
Right.
But when you have something that happened last weekend, you don't see that in the SEC. And the reason is it is a different type conference. And I think what's going to happen is in order for the Big Ten to improve in that area, they're going to start poaching coaches from the SEC because of that reason. There's a lot of – I mean, when Auburn plays, Auburn had a chance to win that game this weekend. I mean, for the longest time.
I know.
And what I'm saying is in the Big Ten, if you're not ranked, you really don't have that chance. And I mean, except when you're Penn State or you're Oregon, look what happened to both of them. Like that doesn't happen in the SEC. And so I think that has to do with, some of the coaching part. So I think what they're going to start doing is, I know if I was Penn State, I'd throw everything I could at Lane Kiffin to get him up there, because he will change that. If Lane Kiffin's at Penn State, who's going to stop that? Who's going to stop that? There's not a coordinator.
He puts some coaches on notice in the Big Ten. Right, quick. Because there's coaches in the SEC that don't want to play Lane Kiffin. Whether they win or lose, they don't want to play.
If you've not seen his documentary,
I know.
Lane Kiffin's. I encourage everybody to try to watch that. It's really interesting how he's changed. Matured over to whatever, but it was very enlightening on what kind of person he is trying to be and is today versus maybe who he was. It's really good. But I'm telling you, if he were to go to the Big Ten,
Here's another name that's getting thrown around that I think's just asinine, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why he would even consider it, is Marcus Freeman. Why would he leave Notre Dame to go to Penn State?
No.
More money at Penn State for players?
No. That doesn't translate well at all. What Marcus Freeman has done at Notre Dame, the way he carries himself, the way that he runs the program, the people he surrounds himself with. No way, dude. No way.
I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I'm interested in the Michigan coaching situation. I think they're going to make a change. I do. They were talking about it on, I say they, whoever they are.
Talking heads.
Yeah, just talking about it like with, I think Colin Cowherd. I think that was right. I think he was talking, maybe something about that. But I could see that changing in a year or two. I like the guy that's there. But, I mean, if you're Michigan, do you go get Lane Kiffin? Yeah. If you're Penn State, do you go get Lane Kiffin? Yeah.
Well, here's the deal.
To me, he's the guy.
I would be tremendously surprised if you don't see James Franklin. If you don't see him on a sideline of a major program next year.
He'll be running a major program again. He's just too. Well, he doesn't win the big game. He doesn't do this. Well, okay, but he does a lot more than so many others.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the failed experiments, we looked at Willie Taggart leaving, what was it? Was it Oregon coming to Florida? I mean, come on. We saw all of these different,
But that was another one where he'd only been there like a year or two.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how does that translate? And that guy, he's obviously a great player and was a very good coach. But it's all about the translation. And there's only certain people, left in college football, and I mean a very small handful, Urban Meyer's one of them, that can just make that transition going into any program anywhere and instantly pretty close to being a winner right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Kiffin's one of those.
Yeah.
From a dynamic standpoint offensively, he gets in a running back.
A lot to
tolerate.
He
gets a left tackle.
He's a lot to tolerate.
Not anymore. He was. Watch the documentary, all right? And things are different. Things are a lot different with him. That's why you don't hear all this stuff anymore, all this crazy stuff or anything. Things are a lot refocused and more rededicated to addressing the matters most important to other people instead of Lane himself. That's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't improve himself as a coach. He improved himself as a person, much like Baker Mayfield has done. And now look what has happened to him. Talent-wise, sure. But, and I'll say it again, Lenny, it's never about the talent. It's about the right. It's not about the right talent. It's about the right people.
And it's the fit.
Yes, you have to have the right
fit.
people.
Yeah. No,
because
I agree.
everyone has internal drivers. And if you have the right people that have the internal drive, they make up for the lack of maybe the overall athleticism or talent by being on time, by being in the right place at the right time, and by being dependable instead of, just talent alone with no, all substance with no, all style with no substance.
Well, the biggest thing about college football this year, and even the NFL to that extent, both of them have been so much better because there's not as much what you call predetermined results. When you're watching games that's going down to the wire and you got upsets, that's what sports is about. Not status quo week after week, just walking through a schedule. And this year, to me, the most surprising team, and this was the year that I thought should be, Chad, good morning, that I thought the ACC would come back to a little more national presence. Didn't realize Clemson would fall apart. I felt like Miami would be there. They're number 2 team in the nation. That's a pretty good ball team right there. And Florida State, I didn't think that they would fall apart to the extent that they have.
Right. But I think that, the problem is there's so much. There's no consistency with a program anymore because people, can go here and go there each year. In college football, is the popularity there? Sure. But at some point, they're going to have to rein things in as far as having rules so they can function. There's too much. there's too many resources going in and out the door that are not getting the return.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it is a style-based business instead of substance-based.
Yep.
And style-based business, you lose on the flash more than you do on the rock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, flash of something comes and goes. The rock is pretty permanent.
But the guys that are going to be successful, the programs that are going to be successful, are the ones that can accept that it has changed and can navigate it.
Right.
And my whole thing has been, and we haven't talked since all this happened, but when Dabo went on his rant at that press conference and said, all I do is win, then got his ass handed to him the next week. Yeah. Here's the deal. When he said, I can go anywhere, Coach, I'm not going to the beach, the problem with that statement is if he left, wherever he went, they would make it very plain from the beginning, you're going to get every player you can get. You're going to spend every dime we give you. Right. And if you don't, we can't use you because all they want him to do is play by the rules that he's been given to the maximum ability. Right. And, Belichick went the wrong way. He swung that pendulum too far, brought in 70 new kids. You can't do that. You have no continuity. He brought in 70 kids.
That's why I don't think it's a dumpster fire, like, long term.
Except if if he does the same thing again next year.
Again, I really think – I talked to some people at family reunion this weekend, and, a lot of them were like, it's just crazy. It's going to – they da-da-da-da-da. And then others were like, hey, why don't people just, like, sit back and let things kind of play themselves out and see what happens? I found that in the family reunion, of course, we're down there near Columbia, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the people were Clemson and South Carolina fans that were at our reunion. Yeah. Were like, Belichick, it was more of a, it wasn't looking at it from a coaching standpoint. It was looking at it from a fan standpoint, right? Which is fine. But ones that, like me, that didn't go to Carolina or don't care about it, just kind of look at it from a coaching standpoint, there's a lot of pieces that have to be put in place. And I think there's going to, like this year, major trial and error. But, I could see. I don't know, Lanny. I can see it working out. I can because he doesn't want to leave. He made it very clear. Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, I want football to be good. I want Carolina to be good. I want State to be good. Duke's had a great year so far. Plays really well. Wake's competitive. I want our football to be good. The problem we got in North Carolina is we got like 16 state-supported schools and 12 of them play football. We're taking where are we going to get all our ball players from?
The other side is
you got that problem in Florida, South Carolina.
Yeah. Good morning, Bob. Glad to have you. Christy, good morning. Byron, good morning. Brian said Miami has the best O-line, two of the best defensive ends, proven quarterback, possibly one of the best receivers in football, and skill positions are as good as you'll see. Yeah. This is their year. Yeah. I'm a conference guy. Yeah. I like to see the conference because if the conference is elevated, everybody that's part of the conference is elevated as well. Now, in high school, a lot of folks don't like to see that. I do. I want to see. I want to see local schools do well, even if it's not my school, because it brings everybody up. It's way.
Who made that comment? Who was that?
Byron Sackett.
That's a great assessment of Miami. Yeah. Wow, that was
and Miami is good. I like to watch them play. Good. I mean, I like to watch them play. There's no doubt about that. It's just. Thanks, Christy. Glad to have you with us this morning. It's just this year to me has been absolutely fantastic for college football because we cut the cable years ago, and we do YouTube, and you can do the quad, the multi-view. We got 4 games setting up there.
Just watch football, man.
People come over to the house, and they're like, how can you do that? And I'm like, well, I got the sound on the one I'm really concentrating on, but if something happens, I can see what's going on. Yeah. It's almost like Red Zone, except you get to watch the actual game, not just the highlights.
Just the highlight, yeah.
So
I think
it's been great. What team would you say has been the most surprising in college football as far as exceeding expectations? Miami's got to be up there. Indiana's got to be up there.
Sure.
I'm going through the list here, and then there's some teams that Oklahoma gets beat, and Oklahoma drops all the way down to number 14.
Yeah.
But I think before the year's over, that they'll be back. I'll put it that way.
Well, I'll tell you this. Oklahoma's the one that kind of makes you, wonder, where the landscape of college football is. And what I mean by that is from a standpoint of, the consistency of game in and game out. And I think that's the difference between Oklahoma and Texas being in the SEC, kind of what you and I talked about a few months ago, versus them being in, or being in the SEC versus being in the Big 12. And there's just a lot of different, a lot of different ways to look at that. There's just, as far as the teams go, Lanny, I don't know. I mean, I thought there for a while Syracuse, maybe Boston College, I don't know, Miami, I don't know.
Second drawer.
I don't know, man. I mean, Indiana's the one. I mean, where does Northwestern fall in this after beating Penn State? Are they now?
Oh, they're not. I mean, that's just
what I'm saying
that's just an upset.
Is that in my thing? Is it, or were they just playing really bad up to this point? Now they've improved. Like, I don't like. It's so hard to measure this because you look at Oregon, and you're like, wow, these guys are amazing. And then they have a team that just goes out and executes, doesn't turn the ball over, advances the football, doesn't try to do anything fancy. And
one of the games from Saturday that I could not pull for either team, what would you think it would have been this past weekend?
Well, Carolina wasn't playing, so it would have had to be.
Just in case anybody's wondering, I did turn them down. No, they were playing LSU.
Okay.
Yeah, our preacher's an LSU guy,
Okay.
and of course some chickens. The one that I could not pick, Alabama and Missouri. I despise Alabama.
Oh, I know why you don't like Missouri.
And Missouri because of drinking water. Don't have any use for that guy. I want him to get beat every time he shows up. But they both couldn't lose. That was the bad part. Charity, glad to have you with us. And my wife just left. She said she was watching. Stacy, Mike, glad to have you guys. Thanks for tuning in this morning. That was one I'm like, can't they both lose? But they couldn't because I didn't want either one of them to do.
So how do you feel about DeBoer now after you've seen kind of a little bit of a body of work that he's gotten through? Kind of like he was under the Franklin scope there for a while, pretty hard.
Well, here's the deal.
What do you think
I have
about
no
him?
problem with DeBoer.
I
like DeBoer.
I think he's a great
My
dude,
problem
man.
is just like Carolina. I don't dislike Carolina. I just like the people that pull for them. I don't like the fans. That's the ones I don't like. Because, I mean, I'm just keeping it real.
Oh, God.
I mean, because they don't look at things realistically.
Well, my thing, too,
I love Roy Williams. And that's hard for me to say that I'd pull for Roy Williams in Carolina.
No, I understand.
But you know
he's
what I'm saying?
Good man.
He's
a
great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He's an ambassador,
but
Mike Krzyzewski. Whether you like Duke or not, he's the guy.
It's just the fans that don't look at it. You're not going to see me sugarcoat the orange. I can tell you.
Well, I think
if they're making stupid decisions,
well, you never
I'm going to be
You've
real
always
about
been
it.
real, and that's the thing. That's why it's subjective to be able to do this. But what does that say about a fan base that leaves before halftime?
I know.
Okay.
I know.
You're
UNC Charlotte.
But my problem, like my thing is where do you why? What makes you think that's okay to, like, from a fan base?
Well, here's the first thing
to
with Carolina. Carolina set expectations way too high because Belichick came to town. That's first, but that's a fan base problem.
That's exactly what that is.
Let me get this cleared up first. Mike said, wait a minute, hey buddy, I'm your brother-in-law, and this is true. Okay, he's a big Carolina fan. Some fans are accepted or exceptions in this, Mike. Okay. Some fans, I'll excuse you.
I know
from
what
that.
you're talking about.
I'll
now.
excuse
Okay.
you
Yeah,
from that.
That's funny.
But
that's funny.
Just like you're saying, Carolina thought this was the end all be all. Can I
give you an example?
And you tell me this all the time. Like when I'm like, Dabo, be careful what you wish for because you may be jumping out of the pot and into the fire. And I think that's what Carolina did. Mac Brown wasn't getting it done. Now you're not getting anything done.
Right. It went from dumpster fire to absolute nuclear, just awful, right? So when I look at like Robbie Abernathy, right? Robbie went to Carolina, right? He obviously, pulls. He's an alum, whatever. But he's not the kind of guy, and I mean, I've known him for forever and ever, right? He's not the kind of guy that because his team's not playing well or it's a dumpster fire early, he's not leaving before halftime. He's not doing that. He's not wired that way. He doesn't feel like he's entitled, to every aspect of, well, we should be doing this and we should be – well, there's a difference in what you should be doing and what you are doing. And the real testament is, are you seeing the process through? People can do whatever they want to do, all right? Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But the problem I got with it is, that from a fan base standpoint, what kind of message is that sending about what you – I mean, do you have delusions of grandeur that you think you're so much better?
If I'm leaving early –
that infuriates me from a fan standpoint.
If I'm leaving early, it's because the game's over and we're winning. Not because we're losing. I want to beat the traffic. I'm not bailing on the team.
I'm leaving the third quarter.
I'm not
Don't
leaving.
get me wrong.
I'm not leaving on the team.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's what's happened.
Yeah.
They just quit in disgust and all this stuff. Well, you know what? Year one. Rome, okay, other things aren't built in a day. And I don't care whether people agree or disagree with Belichick or way they're doing things or way they hired and, all this. My thing is this. We got people that are worried about how Bill Belichick was hired when we have people that live 3 blocks from here that may not have enough food to eat.
Yeah.
There's a real friggin' problem, okay?
Yeah.
And we can come on here and talk about sports and have a good time and, all this. But, in the end,
it's all about perspective.
And it's trying to make things better, more enjoyable. It's like when Carolina Panthers are winning. We say this all the time. When the Panthers are winning, it's great for everybody around. It keeps people employed. It keeps money in circulation. People are excited. There's more opportunity. Well, the same thing can be said. You're just going to have to do some reinvestment.
Well,
whether it be at East Carolina, NC State, Carolina, Duke, it doesn't matter. You just got, but it's just can't sit there and just completely, abort the whole mission.
It's just like the Panthers.
You can't do that.
It's just like the Panthers. Whether they're winning or they're getting the crap beat out of them, I watch them every Sunday.
These are the people.
I watch them every Sunday.
We do. We support our teams.
Sure.
But it's like this. Dean Smith was burned in effigy. People forget that. The student body they wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, what are we dealing with here from a mindset standpoint? What's the problem? And again, people are passionate about being fans. I know I am. I love sports, love football, all these things. But what I want to see is the right thing for the right reasons done the right way with the right people instead of just athlete, fast, this, that. That doesn't do anything. That wins games but doesn't win championships, especially in life. You got to be the right person for the right reason, the right situation. And unfortunately, the people that are most discussed are the ones that don't put that at the forefront. And that's just a fact of life.
I got a couple things I'm going to switch to NFL just quick before I got to get out of here. I'm going to let you sing your praises of your Steelers for just a few minutes.
What's our record again? And it's a long season. Now, look, we're 4-1, right? But this is the thing. When you look at that team, all right, and you look at from a defensive standpoint, the first thing that people talk about, very, very, not very good offensive line, no running game. What has emerged? 2 running backs, all right, a very good offensive line, and now a defense that, I truly believe the first 2 games of the season that they put the defense in terrible positions to see how they would react. I know as a coach, I used to do that. I would not try to call a play or defensive scheme at the time early in the year just to stop a play. I wanted to see what our weaknesses were and let people drive the football. Now, other people would lose their minds, this, that. I'm like, hold on, I got to be able to assess what we've got so we can be good down the road. This is what you do in a process-oriented mindset. Mm-hmm. You don't worry about stopping every play or scoring on every play. What you do is you look at the things that you've got to improve on so you know that you have something to measure against that you can improve on as the season goes on so you're playing your best when it's time to play your best, right? That is what Pittsburgh is doing. We have a quarterback, okay, that even before he left the Jets, that I said he would be the perfect fit. Now, is he going to be the perfect fit? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Right now, it's okay. It's going okay. He doesn't turn the ball over. He gets rid of the ball incredibly fast. All right, he doesn't sit back there and hold it and try to make all these wonder plays and do all this crazy stuff. The guy's smiling. He's having a good time. The teammates love him. Hell, he's twice as old as most of them.
But I'm not sure he'd be having that good time if he was 1-4 instead of 4-1.
Well, but that's the point. Yeah. He's not.
I know.
And this is indicative of the way that the Steelers are going all out for this year. Now, when we look at them, we say, can they win the Super Bowl? Well, I mean, I guess. Maybe. But when I look at the Chiefs and I look at the Bills who lost last night, the Chiefs look dead. Now they're resurrected again. I don't know, Lanny. I mean,
that's what I'm saying about
who's really good in the NFL.
While the NFL looks good,
no.
The Falcons beat the Bills
that's what I'm saying.
by 10 and then lose by 30 to the Panthers.
And Garrick and I talked about that last night or this morning at breakfast.
But that's what makes sports. That's what makes sports good.
And in the NFL, we used to hear years ago, well, USC's team can beat the Detroit Lions. That's not true. Okay, please, if anybody ever says that to you, please just have them stop and, thank them for their opinion, but don't let them embarrass themselves anymore. These are professional athletes. Anything can happen at any time because the skill set and level and the character it takes to get to where they are. And with the coaches that are in the NFL right now, like the Dan Campbells and, the Dan Quinns, the McVays, the Paytons, the level of play of the younger players is only going to continue to go up. And I'll tell you who's in trouble are the Dolphins. Yeah. They're going to have to go in and that the experiment you have leadership styles are different, and that's okay. But it has to be the right fit for what you're trying to do with the people you're working with. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, you have coaches that'll say, "Well, I do it my way," and they're just going to have to adapt to me. Well, that may or may not be true, but I don't know from a successful long-term standpoint if that philosophy is 100% true or not, right? Mm-hmm. And McDaniel's just I like the dude. He's been through a lot. He talks about his struggles. I think he keeps it real. But when your quarterback starts calling out players on the team, you got a problem. Well, and he's doing it openly.
I'm going to say, I'm going to call it management style.
Yeah,
let's just call it that.
They're the last, this is, all hands on deck now.
Who's your surprise team in NFL?
Probably Pittsburgh. And I don't know if it's a surprise, but the Broncos are really good.
And when you look at who their head coach is.
Who?
No, the Broncos. Not when you look at who their head coach is. They can't be a surprise.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. They're not really.
He's going to find a way to make it work.
Yeah. Well, he's got the right guy playing quarterback. Yep. And I'm going to tell you what's interesting is the Mac Jones thing and the Drake May thing. Mac Jones under Shanahan. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. They could potentially be in the NFC Championship.
But here's the deal, and I don't know if Scott's listening or not. Tim Long, good morning. Here's the deal, and I say this all the time. The coaches and programs that are successful, and I've always used LinkedIn as an example, mm-hmm. If they had to completely throw out the offense and the defense every year based on the talent that they had,
he would do whatever.
The successful coaches have been able to take quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy. They've been able to take quarterbacks and assess what their strengths and weaknesses are and develop around that instead of saying, okay, I'm going to make you fit inside my system. I'm going to make my system fit inside your capabilities because if we don't, we can't be successful.
Right.
That's the difference.
What's the highest level of success you can have? It's kind of like, the Belichick-Brady saga that people talk about and all this. I think the one thing to keep in mind is Belichick is the one that saw the intangible in Brady, and that's why he drafted him. Mm-hmm. I think he got an opportunity a couple years earlier than he thought he was going to with Bledsoe getting hurt. Okay, and molded and he. But
Bledsoe's killing it at the winery, just in case anybody wants to know. He's got a great brand. He's killing it.
He's a good dude too.
Yes,
man.
He is. Yeah,
he's got it going on. But and how they managed that process. Brady was never asked to be the playmaker. He was always asked to be the distributor. Yep. And what happened is he then became looked at as the playmaker, even though he's turning around and pitching the ball and toss sweep out of the eye. Or they're running one back set, or he's going out of the shotgun. It was almost like an offense of the week, to your point, when he was with McDaniels and understanding what they were trying to do. And you could tell that Belichick was managing the game from a defensive standpoint where, look, we need to put points on the board this game we just need to keep the ball on the ground. Right? And so
understanding where you were at and what you needed.
And I think that was that's what's so underappreciated or not. I say that, maybe not recognized as much is you just see the score of the game and how the guys are playing instead of, the way, when General Patton was putting together a war plan, it wasn't just about, everybody look at it and say, well, he's going to win. But the what went on behind the scenes, and how he constructed that and what he had his infantry do, his bombers do, his tanks do, football's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that, will always advance the front line are the tanks. You can have air support, which is throwing the football and doing stuff or run and shoot type stuff. But your grounded game, your infantry and your tanks, which are your offensive line and your defensive line, are what going to advance the football. That doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Indiana, switching back to that, has shown us that managing the offense and advancing the football, not trying to do spectacular things, but just advancing the football consistently wears people down.
Well, let me tell you this, and I'll close on this. Sunday, one of the things, and I honestly think there's a couple things happened with the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
First of all, Tepper's got out of the way.
I don't even know. Is he even owner anymore?
That's the first thing he did. He got out of the way. I do like Dave Canales.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
What he's doing, but on that last drive that the Panthers did, they understood we got to eat the clock.
Oh, yeah.
They got a kicker that can kick it 70 yards.
Really good.
We can't give them any time on the clock.
No.
They understood the situation and executed.
And the quarterback's smart enough, having played in the system he played in before getting there and understanding what it takes to win a game, to finish a game. Bryce is small. All right, and a lot of people have a lot of, I say good or bad, arguable things to say about it. But the one thing is his, IQ and understanding how to manage a game. And I got to tell you, it's getting interesting. I don't know. It's getting interesting.
That is not a great roster. Rico Dowling has done a great job, 200-yard games.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Dallas,
crazy.
and nothing was better Sunday than because Dallas had kicked him to the curb, and then he comes down there and he runs wild on him.
Just wore him out.
But Dallas has got the last place ranked defense in the NFL. So that they've got some issues. But anyway, that was the final thing I want to say because I thought that was an awesome job of what they did, of understanding the situation and what they had to accomplish to win that game and close it out.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah.
It really was. It was a lot of fun.
I thought it was good. All right, my friend, have a good week.
All right.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll try to do this again real soon instead of waiting till next season. See ya.